Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack.
David Crane's Amazing Movie Time!
Hello and welcome everyone to the latest installment of David Crane's Amazing Movie Time. This is the shorter version of offshoot of our podcast where we just talk about a movie, a classic movie, a crappy movie, a cult movie, something we just decide to put each other through, suffer through and watch. I am Ryan. I'm joined as always by Andy and Justin. The movie we are going to look at this week is my pick. It's The Lost Boys, the 80s classic, cult classic, 1987. Stars a very young Kiefer Sutherland, somebody who they really want you to think is Jim Morrison, and then the Coreys, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, of course. Basically, the story is a single mother and her two teenage sons move to Santa Carla, I think, which is basically supposed to be Santa Cruz, but it's like a 80s apocalyptic version of that. And soon after moving in with her grandfather, vampire trouble, I guess, ensues. I've watched this movie a lot. Like, this movie's kind of like ingrained with me because I think there's very few movies. This might be the movie that sums up the 80s perfectly for me. It's so 80s it hurts. So what did you guys think of this one? Had you seen it before, either one of you?
No.
No, okay.
No, I had not seen it before, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't see this, more as when I was a teenager, because I think it would have hit me a lot harder, a lot better at that point. But yeah, it's pretty good. Like, the style and the atmosphere of this movie just drips something that is just like almost pure, like kind of dirty and grungy, kind of neonish. I don't know how to describe it all that well, but I don't know. It's got some style.
It had been like probably 6 or 7 years since I've watched this again. And like, I think the one thing that like I didn't expect to remember is like the cinematography for the year that this was shot is like really well done, like better than it needed to be for this movie. It holds up incredibly well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I had not seen the movie at all. I didn't even know what it was going to be about. I'd actually texted Ryan. I was like, "This from 1987? Like, serious on this?" So I started watching it, and the way the movie actually plays out, it doesn't look like it would be from 87. Like, as far as for the looks behind it, you can tell like the style of the movie and just vehicles, clothes, everything like that is definitely. But
yeah.
Hair.
Hair. Definitely the hair, yeah. The music.
Yeah. Overall, I think it was actually a pretty good movie. I wasn't sure what I was going to be getting into with it, but overall, I think it was a pretty good movie. Kept my interest all the way through it, so.
Yeah, I think like that's one thing, like, to its credit, like even with credits included, this has got like an hour and 30-minute runtime. And it doesn't waste a whole lot of time like slowing you down with details of story. Like, he gets immediately into it and just keeps going, which I think is very smart for a movie like this.
Yeah.
They easily could have drawn it on and made it a lot less interesting. Can we please talk about the so the majority of the stuff happens in the evening, at least in the first half of the film, at the boardwalk, which is like kind of like the carnival Jersey Shore area. Can we please talk about that concert with that like
saxophone?
WWF like saxophone player that's like greased up from head to toe, singing and playing saxophone? Like, that is the most 80s ass shit. Like, you can't get that out of your head like once you've witnessed that.
Oh yeah. And the whole music, like, they have that one song that's just
yeah.
All week I've just been like singing in my head, "Thou shall not kill," and I'm like thinking to myself, "Wait, I'm a psycho. Why am I even thinking?"
That's like, actually, that's my least favorite part of the movie. Is like that gets really old, and I don't like it, but yeah, they definitely didn't want to shell out for a full soundtrack, so we're going to use the same song 85 times. Yeah. Out of curiosity, I just put in the search, and like it actually came up in Google before I finished completing it, and like I just took the shortcut about the saxophone player in the Lost Boys. Like apparently it's a big thing. He actually was like supposedly like a world-renowned like saxophone player at the time, and like did backup sax for like Tina Turner and stuff back in the 80s.
Really?
So,
wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's nuts. Huh.
I mean, he looks like he just rolled out of the ring with Hulk Hogan and like pulled out a saxophone, but yeah.
Yeah. So I think the biggest part for me was weirdest that so this guy meets this girl at this concert and is kind of chasing after this girl, but this girl's with this other guy, which turns out to be the leader of the vampires.
Well,
no, not really, but yes.
Spoilers.
At that point, it seems like it.
Yes.
He finally gets to a point where the girl's like, "Okay, I'm coming with you" or whatever, and then like the guy is like, "No, you're not doing that. Come with us." And then like instead of like I'm thinking like they're gonna have a big fight or something like that. Like, hey, you're macking on my girl. We can't, let that happen. Instead, it's like, no, join us. Be just like us,
Right. Well, I mean, he
weird.
did almost kill him, like driving like a race to the cliff. But yeah, that turned from like they turned into frenemies real freaking quick. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like literally, there's like a 15-second transition from just you, man, just you, and then like, hey, want some fucking Chinese food? Here you go. We're cool, right? Like, don't take it hard. I love too that like I can't remember if it's Bill or Ted, but I love that like he's in this movie also as a vampire. He's like the one that like doesn't quite fit. Like the rest of the guys in like the werewolf pack look like they're like fell out of like a Winger cover band. But then you got like him, and it's just like so weird.
Yeah. That's very true. Yeah. And this movie definitely fits in that category. I mean, it was very popular at that time, all the way through the early 90s, that it's like the kids know something bad is going on or something weird is going on, and they can't trust the parents. They have to figure it out themselves.
Right.
And that kind of, what is it? Pretty much the other half of this movie, right?
Yeah.
Is these kids.
Yeah, there's like very like dark undertones and then like this like huge comedy piece to kind of like offset it. And like they do a really good job of balancing both. Like most movies, it's like too much one way or the other, but it's like they sprinkle in just enough like dumb comedy stuff to keep it interesting and then focus on the action. And what I really like about this movie and a lot of like 80s movies is the practical effects are just awesome. There's a couple things like fights where they do like flying fights later on where like it's sort of like CG'd green screen that just looks like shit. But like the stuff like toilets exploding and, hoods being ripped off cars, that's all done with practical effects and it looks awesome. Like you don't see that stuff in movies anymore. And it's just like, I love that with 80s era stuff.
Yeah. I mean, this movie was rated R, but I feel like it's made for teenagers. Like it.
Oh, for sure.
It is like that demographic for sure. Between the early teenagers, with the kids, and like the late teenagers, where it's like actually the vampires are pretty awesome. Like how many people turned into goth people after watching this movie? How many times?
Right. A lot of leather jackets got sold.
And you think of that too, like they probably don't update ratings, but now if that movie came out, it probably wouldn't be.
No. Well, that's what I was going to say too, is like even back then, I feel like you got a lot further with like a PG and a PG-13 rating than you do these days. So it's like weird that I got hit so hard with the R because like there wasn't really anything like. Was there nudity?
No,
other than a couple shirtless dudes, right?
They had the one scene, but you didn't see anything. It was
right.
Yeah. The one where basically that attack where they attack those guys on the campfire. That was like the most violent, I guess. yeah, other than that,
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of a strong rating for this film. Like PG-13 would be fine, you would think.
yeah.
The only thing that I have a hard time with is like I don't believe that Max would date his mom. Nothing against his mom or their mom, but I mean, dude, the guy runs an electronics shop. It's like full of people on the boardwalk. He could have any pick of any woman who walks into his electronics store. You're telling me that they went for the mom? Come on.
He probably does. It's just that's the new girl in town.
Fresh blood, if you will.
Yeah,
Heyo.
yeah.
These could be our vampire children. The one thing that's weird in this movie is like they don't really lean into a lot of traditional vampire lore. But the one thing they do, or one of the things they do, garlic, they just like inexplicably throw out the window. Like
Doesn't work. Yeah,
and it's not explained. Like, garlic doesn't work, dude. And then like, okay, how about holy water? And then his face burns off. I'm like, okay, so one of those things is fine, but the other one, cool, I guess.
They only did that to throw you off the track of who the main bad guy actually is. You know,
How do you explain the reflection? Was it all explained away by none of it happens if you invite me in?
Oh, maybe that's true. Yeah,
I thought that's
forgot
what
about
it was.
that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah, I love like it's you still see it coming, but I love how they like have the subplot and like the kid pieces it together, and you're like, well, that's a strange conclusion, and then it's immediately debunked. They have it all solved, and then like plot twist, like M. Night Shyamalan, like shit at the end.
Yeah,
And I think this movie, like, it's hard not to love it when like you just have that ender where like the crazy old grandpa walks in, the complete dark, reaches in, grabs a soda pop, and ends the movie with, "There's one thing I never could stomach about Santa Carla. Oh, the damn vampires." And then like boom, credits. It's like, that is awesome. Like that's how you end a movie like this.
yeah.
And what's sad is like this movie has since like around the mid 2000s has spawned numerous straight to DVD atrocious sequels, and they're
Really?
all
Oh, boy.
terrible. They got Corey Feldman to come back for a lot of them. In fact, I think
Well,
the
sure.
direct second one. No, that's not true. I think there's a second one, but one of them I know is called the Frog Brothers, and they actually get both of those two brothers back from the comic shop.
Oh,
And the one guy, not surprisingly, dies and gets turned into a vampire right away. Not Corey Feldman, but yeah, there's a whole lot of hot trash. I think like 3 or 4 more movies in this series that got greenlit because of nostalgia, and they just suck real bad. No pun intended.
no. I can see a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I could see somebody watching The Lost Boys and say, let's make a TV show, tone it down a little bit, make it a little bit more campy.
Yeah.
And that's what Buffy is.
You're evil, but you're in control. Like, not all everybody. Yeah, like there's a lot of that, like
Yeah.
teen heartthrob. Yeah. So, can anyone else tell me? I didn't research it and I couldn't piece it together, but like that love interest, the chick. What else is she from? I've seen her in something else like notable.
Really? Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. I'll look it up.
Yeah. What kills me is like on Metacritic, this only has 63%.
Really? Huh.
And Rotten Tomatoes is 74. IMDb is 7.3. Like, I don't mind the 70s stuff, but like Metacritic at 63, that seems kind of crazy. Because like this is such like a... I don't know. I guess I always thought it was like kind of a culturally significant film. Like, and like kind of like you were mentioning, like I first saw this on like USA, like in the summer, they like showed it. I was like in 7th grade or something, and I immediately loved this movie because I was probably the target audience, but it's just weird that it's gotten so bad on Metacritic.
Yeah, that's the...
I thought it was funny when that kid like came shooting up through the bed.
Oh yeah, the little one.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's just like
Pillows
holding him
everywhere.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here's like, I think Lost Boys: The Tribe, I think was the sequel in 2008, And then there was Lost
Wow.
Boys: The Thirst in 2010. And then I'm pretty sure there's like the Frog Brothers. Yeah, here it is. Or maybe not. Okay, so maybe it was just the two. I swear there was like one, maybe the Thirst was the one with the Frog Brothers.
They waited too long.
Yeah, probably. I just remember, you guys remember the Coreys, the two Coreys or whatever? It was
Yep.
Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, the two. So that was the younger brother, and then the brown-haired guy from the comic shop, Justin, if you don't know who those actors are. But they had a series on TV, and it was just kind of like about their careers or lack thereof. Because they were like a big thing in the 80s. These guys were in like, they were best friends. They were like going to parties together, hanging out with Michael Jackson, in a lot of movies together. But anyway, they had this show on, I don't know what cable network, but I just remember this sad episode where Corey Haim, he's the one that's dead now, the younger brother, was like living with Corey Feldman and his wife, and like for the show, and he's like, you know what we need to do? He's like, let's start writing it. Like, let's just do it. Let's do The Lost Boys too. Let's bring it back. Like, we can do this, man. Like, people love that movie. And then Corey Feldman's just like, man, there's something I gotta tell you. They're doing The Lost Boys too. I'm gonna be in it. And then Corey Haim's like, what? He's like, what about me? Am I in it? And he's like, no, man. And Corey Haim just starts bawling. Like,
Oh, wow.
on the show. It was so sad and hilarious at the same time. Ugh, it was great.
Oh, wow.
So what would you guys give this one on the David Crane scale, 1 to 5 blobs?
I'd probably give it 3.5. 3.5. I suppose,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm at 4.
I think I'd do 4 too. This is like one of my favorite 80s era movies. It's dumb, it's simple, but it's enjoyable. And like
Yeah,
for the
it's-
era that it was done, there wasn't a lot of stuff mainstream that was like this.
Yeah. Especially the mix. Yeah. Of like
Yeah.
the style and the kid stuff. It definitely is worth a watch.
It is. Well, I think that's going to wrap up another episode of David Crane's Amazing Movie Time. You can find all things Weekend Rental, points to all our social media and whatnot at weekendpodcast.com. That is our website. Feel free to reach out to us there or just check out other content. And as always, be kind, rewind.